Where to start? Yeah, well, it started about 4 years ago when we started to work together, and we struck upon this idea of this residency in Elephant and Castle. At the time, I think it was one of the biggest planned redevelopments in Europe, and the whole area was totally going to change. The residents of the estates in this area were all being moved out. The idea was that a new community was going to be brought in, and that's the kind of fundamental thing we were looking at.
The Haygate estate is always demonised and considered to be this sort of evil, dark place, and I think our film actually presents it as something completely different.
From a personal perspective, I wanted to understand the place on a very physical level. It was really informed by my experience of the place, the physical architecture, also informed by the experience of people's lives and their experience.
So why carrying a dead bed around?
Just it's my spirit guide. It's my spirit guide. It's like my eyes. And then all that information that I tried to embody came out in this sort of final climax, which was this concert we put on with Chrome Hoof, where I performed on stage in the centre of Elephant and Castle in the Coronet Theatre in front of a packed out crowd, and I had a vision. I was working really in this sort of shamanic tradition, and by that I mean I was essentially using my imagination to come up with answers to questions.
Behind us some dodgy stones up there, pagan stones.
Ernie became one of the main protagonists in the film, and he moved in here when it first opened, but he was actually born on the footprint, and his parents were born on the footprint before that, and he's been here for like 5 generations basically. When they built this, he was actually quite thrilled to be somewhere that had running water and, you know, good basic facilities, as a lot of the working class were at this time.
Oh, this was amazing. This was like paradise for the situation that was here before. I mean, the people were living in slum conditions.
So how long have you been here, Annie?
35 years.
Did people like it when they moved in?
Yeah, they was well pleased because it was brand new, you know, and everything was new. The whole estate was new and it looked like, it was great. Terrific.
Yeah. I've got to try and embody this place. I've got to try and somehow
Project it as it was.
Yeah.
Well, you could take 20 years and say it was good for me, but the last 15 years, all my neighbours are moving, like, you know, blah, 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 and other people are coming in and they're not making themselves sociable like, so you don't get sociable with them, do you? So it lost its heart in that respect.
I asked Ernie to direct me. I wanted to make some sounds to personify the transition of the place from what it was, what it is now, and what it will be in the future.
How does that sound?
Yeah, it wasn't sad, was it?
And that's what I loved about working with Ernie. He told me what he wanted from it, which was great. And he pushed the whole dialogue and the whole journey on for me. So I wasn't pushing it all the time. I was being directed within it. And in a way the same for Wahid, the developer.
But I'm also local as well. And as a young boy, when we used to go past the Faraday building, I used to think that was the elephant compound where they actually kept the beasts. And my father used to tell me, son, one day, knock it down for me, will you? And here I am.
I asked him for some physical movement that would embody the transition of this whole area from what it was to what it will be. And I didn't even know where to start.
He really quickly took control of the situation and directed you and really challenged you to find intention in what you're doing.
Okay. Expectation, readiness. But there's intention.
Yeah, it's intention to do
Where's the
something.
intention coming from?
Intention is coming from the idea that there is definitely a transformation.
Right. and it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen, according to you it is, yeah.
No, it's not according to me. It's going to happen.
Okay.
This film talks about the value of these historical communities and how important that is for the future, and how we're going to have another failure on our hands if we don't value that and recognise that.
The architect of the Haygate estate, Timothy Tinker, saw the film before we released it, and he sort of described it as a lament for the neighbourhood, which is quite a nice way of summarising it. It's a portrait of a place and a people and a time.